What's going on, y'all? Want to welcome you back to the Raw Report. And I'm just going to be honest with you, tell you straight up. You don't have depression. You ain't got anxiety. You don't even have a motivation problem. You just don't know who you are. And that's what's actually destroying you. Everybody wants to tell you what's wrong with you. They want to give you a label. They want to tell you struggling. You lost. You need therapy. And maybe you need all those things. But before you even go there, before you accept you got depression, you in depression, or you got anxiety, before the anger, before all the numbness, the bigger problem that nobody ever talks about is you've never actually built your identity. So the world gave you one. And as you was growing up, the world told you who you are, even though what's on the inside of you, you know what's on the inside of you didn't line up, but you kept playing along. So now, the version that's living on the inside of you is suffering while you out here performing. And here's the lie most young men live with. I am what I achieve. Or I am who I'm with. I am what people see when they look at me. And a lot of us built our whole identity around those stats. How many followers you got? Your girl, your boys. Nowadays, what the kids say, your drip, your reputation. And it feel like it's solid. You know what I mean? It's like you feel like that's a good identity to have. I mean, you feel like you know who you are until one of those things fall off or it gets moved out of your life. Maybe the girl leave and then you fall apart and you don't know why. It ain't even because you loved her that much. It's really because without her, you don't know who you are. Or maybe you got cut from the team. And when you got cut, something inside of you died. And it wasn't even because you really loved the sport that much, because you know you wasn't putting in the work. You would go you want to shoot around and you want the fame of it or the recognition of it, but you wasn't working hard and you know it. But without that jersey or being on the team, you don't know who you are. Or maybe your boys might have switched up on you. And believe me, that's a big one. Your boys might switch up on you. And that caused you to spiral out of, you just don't know. Because if your boys switch up on you, you thought that was your crew for life. And it ain't even because you miss them that much. That was just the mirror of who you thought you was. And without them being there to validate you, you feel lost. So if losing one thing, one person, one position, one relationship makes you unrecognizable to yourself, you basically never really had an identity. You've been wearing a costume this whole time. And then when something or whatever removed itself, you breaking down. Now you all in your feelings. And I'm just going to be honest with y'all. Y'all hear me say it all the time. Being a man, you can't be in your feelings. This ain't about feelings. It's not about feelings at all. A young man without identity, feeling lost is just one thing, but he's dangerous. You're dangerous because you don't know who you are. And you're dangerous to yourself. You're dangerous to everybody around you. Because when you don't have no identity, you accept whatever the world feels it filling in, or whatever the world offers you, you accept it. Because the streets will give you identity. They tell you toughness, loyalty to basically the wrong things. and you ain't got nothing to lose. And that's so much the wrong identity, but nobody's talking about it. That's why I'm only getting it to you. Social media, they'll give you identity. You want to be a clout chaser. You're basically a character. That's the costume I'm talking about, being a character. Because sometimes, more times than not, when the camera's on, people do anything for a laugh, hee hee ha ha, it's funny right then. But when the camera go off, you got to go back to living yourself. And what I've seen or noticed is a lot of people do a lot of things to get more likes. And they're not even like that. I'm just saying, if that's you, hey, look, I'm not trying to step on no toes. I'm just telling y'all like it is. Trauma will give you identity. A lot of people like to say, I am what happened to me. No, you're not. The enemy will have you feeling like you are your worst moment. No, you're not. Or the enemy will have you feeling like you are the thing that was done to you. No, you're not. Your father not being there. One ain't got nothing to do with the other. I felt like that for years. My father got killed when I was young. And I basically let the streets help make my identity. And I'm telling y'all, it's a lie. Because without my father being there, it just leaves a big vacancy and you don't know where to get your information at. So you go looking for it. And the streets will fill you with all kind of misinformation, making you think that they got your back. No, they don't. They don't care nothing about you. When they can use you up, as soon as they use you up, they go be on to the next. Find somebody else that's buying in whatever they selling. Because I don't know why they do it, but that's just how they do it. But that man that's in you, the person that you know you're supposed to be, you end up losing all that because you were performing for what the other people like, not for yourself. And what ends up happening is you feel that hole and it becomes your foundation. And most of the times, what we fill out that hole with is anger or the numbness and the performance. And at some point, I don't know what point it is, for me it was years, it took a long time, but at some point, you can't keep that performance up. Because it's a lie. It's not who you truly are. You think you know who you are because, like I said, you've been performing. Everybody agree with it. It's cool. But all performances, whether it's a movie, a stage show, whatever, it comes to an end. And when yours come to an end, what's left? What's left? That's what I'm asking you. What's left? Identity doesn't come from what you do. It comes from who you are. The world would always try to define you by your output, your grades, your numbers, your job, your body count. And that can be women or what they say in the streets. Your bank account. The world will always try to define you because that's the scoreboard that the world uses. And I'm here firsthand to tell you it's all a lie. Don't none of that matter. At the end, as you keep getting older, you'll realize none of that matters. Because a lot of the people that you performing for, you don't like them, they don't like you, and after a while, y'all both, it seems like y'all on the same path, but at some point, y'all start moving in your own directions. So all that stuff that you trying to do to impress people, none of that matter. Because at some point, and I'm talking about in a day, everything can change. And if your identity is tied to that or somebody else, when that change, you go change. I'm talking about in one day. That's crazy. We can't live like that. Because real identity is the kind that holds you. You can hold yourself together when things fall apart. Because it's not based on what you do. It starts with whose you are, which God made you. You God's child. You got to own that. And y'all already know I came with scripture, so I'm not just making this stuff up. Psalms 131, 13, and 14. For you created my inmost being. You knit me together in my mother's womb. I praise you because I am fearfully and wonderfully made. That's in the Bible, y'all. Before you had a name, before you had a grade, before you had a follow account on social media, before your father was in the house or he wasn't in the house, it didn't matter. Before anything happened, God had already gave you your word. He decided about you before you was even born. That's crazy. He made you on purpose, with purpose. So your identity was already set before you even took your first breath. And then everything after that, you're either building on your foundation or you're building on sand, which is the lie. Because culture or this world don't want you to build on no solid foundation. They don't want you to know that you're God's child and you are fearfully and wonderfully made. They want you to build on what they told you was. And for a lot of us, it tricks us. And we end up believing that we that person that they say we are. 2 Corinthians 5:17. Therefore, if anyone is in Christ, the new creation has come. The old has gone and the new is here. And that's the part most people skip. You can't fix a broken identity. You got to replace it. That version of you that was built by the streets or social media, the trauma, everything I talked about before, you're not a renovation project. You gotta demo that thing. You gotta get rid of it. Cause you can't patch an old foundation. You gotta pour a new one and stand on that thing. Cause the only foundation that holds under pressure is the one that God made. All this other stuff it's gonna crack. It's gonna break at some point. Because somebody else gave you that foundation. It's not your foundation, and you know it. Deep down, you know it. Because a solid foundation is the most important thing you got to get right first. It's not your accountability. It's not your character. It's not your strategy. It's none of that. You got to get a solid foundation. Because you can build the most impressive life in the world, but if you sitting on top of sand, you are what you do, instead of knowing that you are doing your purpose with what God made. One storm can take down your whole life, whatever that storm is. And when you got a solid foundation, it means you know who you are. You know what you do. You know why you do it. You know whose you are before you even start doing anything, and you know where you're going because you know your purpose. You have to get to a point where you know your identity is not up for negotiation, because God had already made your identity before you even showed up. You just gotta, I tell y'all all the time, you gotta tap, it's in the inside. We searching for external validation for somebody else to tell you. You gotta do some soul searching. It's inside of you. A young man with a solid foundation, he can lose his girl and it's still, none of that don't even matter, because he know who he is. He know what cloth he cut from. He can get cut from the team and still, he know who he is. It don't know none of that matter. He can watch all his friends leave and still be standing because he know who he is. He stand for something. God put him here to accomplish something, whatever it is. I don't know what it is, but I'm just saying, y'all get where I'm going with this. Because foundation means you know who you are before the world tells you who you are. And what's crazy, I'm saying before, a lot of times the world done already told you who you are and you've been believing it. But deep down, it's something pulling at you that you know that's not right. So you got to go back and you got to research that thing and go in deep so you can find yourself. Because when the world changes mind about you, and I'm 100%, I'm telling you it will, you won't change with it. That's what I'm trying to stop y'all from doing. Stop letting the world change you, deciding on basically who you are and what you should be doing because of what they feel like this week. And basically, how you can recognize a wrong identity. If you can't answer these 3 questions that I'm about to give you without referencing another person, a position, or a possession, basically you borrowed your identity from something somebody else said. And Question 1. Who are you when nobody is watching? Question 2. Who are you when everything you've built falls apart? Question 3. Who are you when the people who validated you are gone? Who are you? And if you went blank on any of those 3 questions, that's not just a character flaw. That's an identity gap. And it's not your fault because somebody gave you that identity. But it is your responsibility to replace that negativity that you filled it with and fill it with something positive. Because like I said, the streets done told you, if it gave you identity, it told you hard. You don't have to feel anything and be loyal to them. They ain't loyal to you, but be loyal to them. That don't even make sense if you really think about it. They got my back, so I got yours. Do they really got your back though? Because if they did, why they trying to holler at your girl? I'm not your boys, man. And what's crazy about what I'm explaining to y'all, this identity thing that I'm talking about, and it hurts me to say this, but it's the truth. It gets a lot of young men killed or locked up before they even 25 because somebody else, they listening to what somebody else put on them for their identity, and that's not who they are. Like I said, social media give you identity. You're only as valuable as your last post because you need that external validation to exist. That's not true. Because the way social media works, if they didn't see it, it didn't happen. And that identity crisis right there is creating men to perform their whole life instead of living it. And I say that because I see young men every day that's out here living, but they don't even know they living because they so stuck in their phones trying to record everything, this, and that, and they ain't smelling none of the grass that's around them. That's sad, y'all. And like I said, that whole trauma thing, you are who what happened to you? No, you're not. Because those identity change you to the moment that should have just been a chapter or a season of your life. It's not your whole book. Same thing like when I said when your father's not there. You can't keep holding those grudges and bringing that baggage with you as you trying to move forward. Because you got to take that, you got to unfill that gap with that negativity and put some positive stuff in there. But it's going to start with you doing some soul searching. Because what happened was you filled that gap up with whatever showed up first. And a lot of y'all, what showed up first happened years ago. And you still hold on to that like that's who you are. That's not who you are no more. So let it go. Like I said, it's not a renovation. You got to rebuild. You got to demo that and just start fresh. It's okay. You can change. You can evolve. You can become a new person today. Because 9 times out of 10, whatever showed up first shouldn't be there no more. Because most of us, now I'm not just talking about y'all, most of us, we didn't get to choose our first identity. It was installed by whoever or whatever had the most access to us when we was at our most vulnerable state. But right now, where you are today, you can choose the one you carry from here on. You can choose that. That's not up to them no more. That's up to you. Because you're hurting for some reason. And I'm telling you, you can decide. And y'all already know, like I said, this the raw, so I'ma just give you the raw truth, no matter what. This the part that you ain't gonna hear motivational speakers say or the self-help guys. This the part your boys ain't gonna even say to your face. And I'm just gonna be honest with you. You performing. And you know you performing. That version of you that you let everybody know is a character. It's your survival mechanism that's got you doing whatever you got to do to get you through. And I can't knock it because I did the same thing. I'm not talking bad about nobody. I'm just telling you there's a better way. It worked when it worked. But now it's time to let that go. Because yes, it kept you alive when you needed it to, but you're carrying it way longer than you have to. It kept you safe. It kept you from getting hurt again. Okay, celebrate that. Let's move on now. We got some new things. We got bigger mountains to climb. Because deep down, you know that's not you. I can sit here and talk all day, and I know you know it. I don't have to. I know you know it. That's not you. That's why you feel exhausted all the time. That's why you feel empty. Even when good things is happening to you, you still feel empty because they don't know the real you. They know the character that you've been portraying. That's why those compliments don't land, because they happy for the person that you're portraying. You not happy for that person. Y'all hear me say it all the time. You gotta let that old man go. You gotta let him go and become that new person. Because what a lot of people are out here complimenting is the performance, not you. And that person is under there, he's buried, and he want to live too. But you buried him because the survival instinct took over. And like I said, you've already been through that. You passed that season. Now what? It's time to move on. That version of you that the world applauds, it might be the actual version that's killing you, is basically what I'm getting at. Because that performing, it takes energy. All it's doing is zapping your energy to get you tired, so you can't hear God, so you can't read your Bible, so you can't do the things you need to do to move forward. You've been in this stage of your life for way too many seasons. Like, you've been doing the same thing 5-10 years and you haven't made any growth. That's because you haven't let that old person go. That old identity that's not really your identity. That's not even who you are no more. Because the real you, the one that God designed, before the streets gave you your identity, before the church gave you your identity, before social media got a hold of you, before that trauma got a hold of you, or the absence that your dad not being here, that version, he's still there. He ain't dead, he just buried. You buried him. And the work of becoming that new man and digging him out, it's hard. I'm just gonna be honest with you, it's hard. But you gotta decide, is that what you want? Because you already know what the other path is, and you're not happy. But the only way you're gonna be happy is cutting that man loose. You gotta make up your mind today, this is where I'm building from. Right here. Stop performing. Get rid of that character. Get them back their costume. And start building your foundation from now on. And I'm just gonna tell you this. Nobody told me this until it was too late. But I'm gonna tell you this so you don't have to wait so long. You don't have unlimited time to figure this out. Because life, you hear it all the time, life is short. It's definitely short. 10, 15 years, 20 years from now, you're going to be like, man, I should have, man, just do it now. Because I tell people this all the time, you got to grow down first. So these first 1, 2, 3 years, they going to be tough, especially when you're trying to replace all those years of negativity that you built yourself on to get rid of that identity to build a new one. It's really like starting over from being a baby. You just got some new information. Every year you spend living with that borrowed identity is a year you lose from building your new one. And then that performance gets harder to get rid of. That emptiness just only gets louder. And that's why a lot of us be frustrated and miserable these days. Because that distance between who you are and who you're pretending to be, it gets further and further away from each other. And at some point, you can't build a bridge back to who you actually are. And if you ask me, that's where most of us men break. That's because that depression settles in. That anger comes. You're just mad all the time. You don't know why. And that's when a lot of us men decide we don't want to be here no more because we can't figure out what happened. you're not being truthful and honest with yourself. That's what happened. That's basically what this is about. And it ain't because life is bad. It's because the life that you're living is not yours. Somebody gave you that identity. So it's time for you to let that go and build the one that you know that God put you on this earth to do. So my one challenge for y'all, and I'm not going to even give you no long list, just one challenge. Write down who you've been pretending to be. Whoever that character is, that performance, that version of you that put you here listening to me right now. Give it a name. And then after you write down who you actually are, the person that you're yearning to be, that you want the world to really know. That, because a lot of times, and for me, it was an old, young version of myself that I had buried for so long that I had to go find to be real with myself. So write that down. And then when nobody's watching, even if it's just 2 or 3 words, I want you to basically say it out loud to yourself. Even if you don't know yet. It's not weakness to say you don't know yet, because it took me some time to really think about who I actually was when I had to do it. Because once you answer that question, that'll be one of the first honest things that you've done for yourself. And that might even be just admitting you don't know who you are right now. You just, because you've gotten that far away from who you actually wanted to be, or who you actually could be. Because what that actually says is you're ready to stop faking it. And that's something you can build on. Because you can build on something real from there, because the performance stopped. And now you just go be honest to yourself, honest to the people around you, honest to the foundation that you're building. And now your foundation is built on real. No matter what you do, it's gonna be real. So, like I said, stop performing. Start building today. The real you is in there. You just gotta go find them. So, that's my word for y'all today, man. I wanted to get that message out there because I feel like we out here losing ourselves and we're not fighting for the true version of ourselves. And I really don't like that. So y'all already know what I'm gonna say. Come join the free community. Y'all got any questions for me? Leave it in the comments. I'm speaking on whatever. If it's a subject you want to hear me talk about, let me know. Y'all already know what I like to say. Stay real, stay raw, stay grounded in your faith, and walk boldly in your purpose. Till the next time, y'all. I'm out.